So another question that comes up sometimes is I may or may not have time for like a formal seated meditation practice. So how about if I just meditate when I'm walking or, gardening or hiking or doing the dishes? So how about incorporating those other times into my meditation practice?
Hmm. Yeah, good question. Um, the way I think about this is in part through the distinction between formal and informal meditation practice. And as a formal meditation practice would be actually sitting down or maybe walking or laying down and doing a body scan, but being very intentional that this is all that one is doing, is solely focusing on the breath or on the vision or meditating. An informal meditation practice might be the experience or the intention of being mindful while also doing something else. So maybe washing the dishes, this is a classical example, right? And feeling the warm water on your hands and the soapy bubbles, or going for a walk and in a mindful way, without headphones, by yourself, without conversing with anyone else or thinking about the to-do list, but rather soaking up the environment around us, listening to the birds, feeling the touch of wind, the kiss of cold air on the skin, all these things. Um, and so I guess my response to that would be that there is place for both of this, all of these practices. Um, Ideally, I guess I would say that an informal practice is well supported by a formal practice at least a couple of times a week, because that builds up the muscle, the muscle of attention and paying attention in that particular way, so that when we are driving or going for a walk, we can exercise this muscle additionally by being mindful of our experience. Um, People have brought up hiking or swimming or biking or other experiences like this. And I mean, they sound like fantastic opportunities to be really present. I think they're also supported by the rhythmic quality of the breath that's involved in many of these experiences. With hiking, the very intentional attention on where do I put my foot next so I don't fall, and I stay on the path.
Yeah.
And so I guess it goes back again to subjective experience. Whatever works for you, make use of it. That would be my response. What do you think, Claire?
Yeah, well, I love the distinction that you're making between formal and informal practice. Because I think it's kind of a subtle distinction to say, like, yes, absolutely, be mindful, be present while you're walking, while you're doing dishes, for all these things, absolutely. And I agree with you that it's not a substitute for formal practice, and that the two just feed each other. And for me, I mentioned earlier that the sense of presence, or the sense of like just monotasking that I try and cultivate with meditation, I want to take that through the rest of my life. So obviously, it's great to take these qualities that we train in meditation into the whole rest of our lives. But if you're not training those qualities in a specific focused way in a formal practice, it's really hard to think that you're going to use them in other situations where you've got way more stuff to distract you, way more stimuli. It's way harder to not just let your thoughts run away with you, or for me anyway, like if I'm washing dishes or something. So I think that basis, like you said, to develop the skills and like the muscles, to extend your metaphor, like to hit the gym and do the heavy lifting, so that when you run, you'll be better at running, or when you ski, you'll be better at skiing. I think that's what we're really doing with like a formal practice. And like the goal of a formal practice isn't to be really good at formal practice. The goal of a formal practice is to be good at these skills during your entire life. So yeah, I just feel like it's great to try and break down that barrier between formal practice and the rest of your life, unless it means you're not getting formal practice anymore.
Yes, I love it. And so this is a tip that you gave to me several years ago, and I've just found it so helpful. Yeah. And the tip was when I'm sitting at a red light to just check with myself and see if I'm breathing with my belly. And that can have, this small step can have such transformative impact on my day, on how I approach everything else, so that now I do it before an important meeting, or, you know, just a quick check as I go during the day. And I find that I am able to do this much more effectively if I have done my time on the cushion with the formal practice for the week. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that's been helpful too. I find we met in Houston, and I find Houston traffic is like the most amazing place to practice.
And we spend lots of time in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Traffic jam, you're just sending out loving kindness to everyone around you. It like transforms the experience. Or that red light, you've been stopped at it 3 times now, you just want to get through that intersection. It's transformative to be able to use that time like this.
That's right. Yeah. And by the way, the distinction between formal and informal practice is not mine, and I would like to give due credit to the author from whom I borrowed it. So in the notes below the video, I will post a reference to that book.
Perfect. Oh, we are academics.
Honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.